open the Photoshop Express app, and I'm going to use one of the images that my friend Denise took on her trip to Nepal, because I want to use one of the photos that I have not taken. These are photos taken with her smartphone on her trip. She's not a professional photographer. She's definitely picked up some good skills already. So let's see what we can do with her photos in post-production. Okay, let's take the simplest photo first. Very stretched vertically. I would like to crop it a little bit so it fits more to the understanding of what we usually see in the photo. Just, not everything, but just a bit right here. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going into the settings. So in my opinion, the photo is lacking contrast a little bit, so I want to adjust that. So here's what happens when we're moving the slide. Here I'm going to move it actually almost all the way to the end and leave it here. And I'm going into the highlights, and I want to see if, oh yes, I can definitely bring down the highlights a little bit here in the background. Okay, the colors look good. It's a bright sunny day. The sky is blue, but the photo is filled wonderfully with all the mountain stuff going on here. Let's see what we can do with the shadows. Should we bring this? Okay, so right now it looks like a little bit too much and gives me a lack of contrast, but I'm going to go into my favorite setting called clarity, and I want to play with this here so that the clarity is actually giving us a little bit more definition and detail, which is nice. So I'm going to use clarity here, definitely. And since I'm here, let's also use the vignette a little bit, just a bit. Very nice. Definitely sharpening. The photo is pretty small here. The size of it is not very big, but sharpening, a little bit of sharpening never hurts anybody. Just don't overdo it. What else can we do with this photo? Let's see what we can do with the vibrance. Do we need vibrance? Will it be too much like this? This is definitely too much. I don't want to go there. Let's keep it professional. Okay, and now it looks like I want to reduce the contrast just a bit, so I'm going back to the beginning, to the contrast, and pushing it back just a little bit. Here we go. Looks interesting. Okay, shadows. What's up with shadows? I like that. I like this a lot. What do you guys think? Okay, so what's wrong with this photo right now? We see the tree on the left that is perfectly straight. It's almost parallel to the edge of the frame. And the building, whatever it is, on the right hand side and the bottom appears to be a little crooked. And I don't know if there's anything we can do about it here. Typically, I would want to fix it somehow by using which feature do I use here? By using transform, but transform features are only available to the subscription, so we're going to leave it alone here. I think I'm happy with this photo as it is. Save, and here we go. All right, now let's work with this photo. Definitely cropping it. There's a lot going on here. It's very stretched. Okay. So I'm cropping it. I use the rule of thirds. I want to place Denise's eyes on 1/3. And I'm also putting her slightly off center. We always do that to create a little more interest in the photo. It's a little too much on top, so this is what I would do to crop the image to make it more interesting looking. And now let's see what we can do here. I like the lights in the background. I like what's going on in this image, but Denise is too dark. So I'm going to adjust exposure, definitely. Not too much though. And then I'm going to adjust the contrast because exposure also made it appear a little faded. Okay, now her skin looks a little too cold, so I'm going into the temperature. And I always adjust for the skin tone. When there are people present in the photo, I always adjust to their skin tone. Screw the rest of the photo. I want my people to look alive and healthy, and everything else is not as important. So that's what I would typically do. Now I know the rest of the photo right now looks a little bit yellow, but that is happening because Denise is illuminated by what looks like a natural light, some skylight that's still remaining even though it's getting dark, and what we see in the background is the stairs and the lights. The trees are illuminated with electric light, which is yellow light. That's why such a difference. But like I said, I always adjust for the skin tone and everything else is not as important because here we are photographing a person. Now I want to definitely use a little bit of sharpening here to make sure that when Denise posts this photo on social media, that's sharp. Okay, I am pretty happy with what I've done. Maybe not so much with the crop. Going back to the crop. Like that. Okay, better. Okay, and now I am going to save it. Camera roll. Lovely. Next photo I want to try to play with is this photo on the market. Definitely going to crop it right away because that stuff on the top is a bit distracting and unnecessary. We don't need to see the sky here. This is it. This is my crop. I like it a lot. Okay, now let's go in and see. We definitely want to bring up some details in the shadows. In this case, I'm going all the way up, but don't get scared. I know right now it looks a little weird, but here's what happens when I go into clarity. Okay. Clarity brings contrast in the detail, so now I can see what's going on there. Now I can go back into the shadows and reduce it to my liking. And how about the highlights? Do we want to push down our highlights a bit or not? No, not so much. Highlights are okay. Okay. Not very happy with my shadows being so overexposed, so this is a little better. Maybe reducing the contrast a little bit. Here's what happens if we reduce it all together. The color evaporates, things go away. Okay, let's leave it here. This is nicer, right? Okay, definitely want to go back to vibrance. Bring it up, it's very colorful here. And I think the photo needs a little bit more exposure. See how I'm going back and forth? It's basically a creative process all the way, and you play with sliders, see what works for you. A little bit more of a contrast here. Okay, right now it's a little too saturated to my liking. So I'm going back to vibrance and pushing it back down. Okay, so now that looks like a picture in the market. Clarity, a little bit less or more, less, a little bit less. I still want the picture to look real. So this is our struggle. We basically kind of have a vision of what we want, and you will obviously develop your own vision and style. And I strongly encourage that you play with this app, try different features, Move around these sliders, see what comes up, and don't give up if something doesn't go right. You can always stick to the basic settings of adjusting contrast, exposure, and as well as shadows and highlights in high contrast photos. You always want to make sure your colors are correct by adjusting temperature and tint. And if it looks so too dull, you can always use either saturation or vibrance. And I am not afraid to repeat myself. I always choose vibrance instead of saturation just because I'm used to photographing people. And what saturation does to people's faces, it makes us look like carrots. Basically, gives us this very, very saturated color of the skin, and we don't want to do that. Ooh, I forgot the vignette, so here we go. Let's add that. Ooh, how interesting is that, right? It's much more interesting, in my opinion. Okay, how about that sharpening? Good stuff. Saving. Camera roll. That's it. Now let's go see what else we can do. What? Yes, I love Photoshop Express. Thank you. No. Ooh, here's an interesting photo. Okay, so the first thing that I notice about this photo is that I want to crop it tighter on the boats. And so if I was there, I would definitely come closer, come down closer, or somehow get closer and photograph the boats in a way that I don't need to crop the image. But in this case, it is what it is. We can still use the photo. This could be a very nice Facebook cover, actually. So what stands out to me right now is I want to make it a little more vibrant, a little more colorful. And maybe I want to add a little more contrast. Exposure. And that's basically all I want to do to this photo. Very simple. Vignette. That's it. How interesting is that, right? It's much better looking. Okay, saving it. Very cool. I'm hoping Denise will enjoy my edits. What else can we do? Oh, I love this photo. This is such a good photo. What bothers me right away is that it needs a little rotation just to make it look straighter. Perfect. Okay. And I actually want to focus on the bridge here, so let's try and do that. So I center on the bridge, make it perfectly symmetrical. Very cool. Maybe it still needs to be rotated. Uh-huh. Very nice. How about that? Okay, and here we go. Let's go into the clarity. Now with structures, we can always play a little harder. We can push our clarity up a little or a lot. Saturation and vibrance. Okay, so vibrance didn't give me enough saturated colors, so I'm going into the saturation as well. And this is what happens here. This is where we need to be careful, otherwise it becomes a little acidic looking. Tint, maybe. Let's see what happens if I push it to the red. The bridge becomes red, so that's wrong, right? But we kind of want to push it up just a little bit so that it's... Ooh, how nice is that? Okay. What about the temperature? Do you guys think the photo is too warm? Maybe it's just a little warm. Okay, now see how blue the bridge has become? That's a little too much. I'm going back into the saturation and pushing it back down. Okay, a little more exposure. Okay, Where's my vignette? There we go. How amazing. Can you believe this was a photo taken with a phone? Not even in the highest quality settings. This is what you can do, you guys. I'm not sure it looks straight. Maybe it's not straight enough. Let's rotate it a little bit more. Okay, is that good? Right, I think I want it a little cooler looking. I want to have the feel of a morning, you know, when you get out there and it's still, the colors are a little chill. Yes, like that. How about that? Okay, I'm saving this. Again, this is just what I wanted to do. You can play with your photos and do whatever you like. There is no limit. Okay, how about this beautiful Taj Mahal photo? What do you notice right away that you want to fix? I see that it's not perfectly centered, so I want to crop it and remove that distraction on the right hand side. So let's go and do that. Okay. Is it centered now? No, so not so much. I cropped it too much, so I'm going back. Ooh, I don't know what's going on with my fingers. Okay, that's better. Okay, now I'm definitely going into the shadows because I want to see what's going on here in the shadows. Wow, look at this beautiful architecture. So I don't want to bring it up all the way because we see the noise and this pixelated noise appear. This is what happens when the quality of the photo is not very good. If the photo was taken in a raw format, the photo was actually taken on an Android phone, which has the capacity to shoot in raw files, which have a lot more information to work with. In this case, it's not a raw format, so we're just pushing it down. And I also want to go into the clarity, bring out the detail. Do you see how much detail we get here? Amazing. Lovely. Vibrance with the sky changing. That's amazing. Definitely. Sharpening. Absolutely. Okay, and take a look. I don't even want to use the vignette here because we have a beautiful frame. Natural frame created by the photographer by using this architectural element, by using the arch. I'm pretty happy with this photo. I don't want to do anything with it. So I'm going to just save it. Voila! And here we go. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.